This is called Vigorously. Welcome, Chaz Huff from Get Out Alive in the building. I am excited to talk about some new stuff, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are talking on the day that If I Leave is released. I did check it out. Man, man, the scream. I was within seconds, we get this guttural scream. How are we feeling? You've got to be proud about this.
I think that song is a lot of fun. I love the call and response situation we dialed in with the verses. I kind of I was taking a little inspiration from, Chevelle,
Mhm.
um, rolling into some of those. We got a little bit of calm and then we're hitting you with it, and then we're going back and we're hitting you with it again, and then kind of just, push and pull, making our way over to the chorus.
That's how we do it, and we love it. And I have to tell you that when Hornet's Nest hit my inbox, musically, I was immediately transported back to the early 2000s and said, yes, I want to talk to this guy. Lyrically, I heard themes of survival, self-preservation, that type of vibe in there. Sort of like, I now recognize this ain't good for me and I need to avoid it to survive. Is that a
Exactly.
fair assessment? Is that the assignment?
100%. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's a situation where you can try to help people in certain situations and try to move and go up with people and um, go forward. And some people don't want to make changes, that can make a positive impact. And some people they kind of just seem to thrive in this toxicity, and that's where they complain about it, but it's also where they seem to want to be. And
Hmm.
uh, the song's kind of just about like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stop trying to reach my hand out to you and getting stung, I'm gonna just, I see it, I sense it, I've been stung. I'm gonna step back, you can leave me out of it, keep me out of the hornet's nest.
Yeah, it's a total contradiction because we're taught to be empathetic. And
Hmm.
this can make it hard to be self-serving, so to speak, or just have us feeling guilty in general when we do have to make decisions that are conducive to our survival, our own wellness.
Hmm.
How do you shut off the noise and focus when you're, in the zone on something?
It is really hard. I mean, I think that forever I'm going to continue to be, reaching out and trying to help people and continuously just get hit with it, because that's just kind of the guy I am, and I like to give people chances if there's something I feel like I could be helpful with. You
Mhm.
know, I think it's just part of life. And it's good to, if there's a repeating pattern with a specific person over time, I think that that's when you kind of need to be like, all right, it's time to make sense of this and step back and put myself first here.
That's fair because a pattern is a pattern. It,
Mhm.
it, it is what it is. Levers don't change their spots. They are what they are. When's your birthday?
June 10th.
Okay,
Nice.
June 10th. So we're getting into close to cancer territory there. That's might be why we're feeling all the feels. I'm just saying. Because I got a lot of cancer in my birth chart too, and I do think that there's something to that.
Okay.
We're empathetic. We feel it. We feel it whenever somebody's going through something. But you're right. Whenever we recognize a pattern, whenever we recognize a toxic pattern on
Mhm.
top of that, it's time to go. So overall, what is your take on the best way to get through a moment when you're struggling?
With that specifically, like with
Anything
feeling
in general. Yeah.
just in general, you know, I think one thing that's really helped me in the past like 6 months or so is just really continually being grateful for what I have and what's around me and what I've built, throughout time. And Um, it's I think that like negativity breeds more negativity and positivity breeds more positivity. So I've just been trying to be a little more self-aware of not allowing myself to just go down the rabbit hole into that vicious cycle that's hard to get out of. So I kind of I'll allow myself, to vent or rant a little bit. Um, but then once I've kind of like gotten it out, I'm like, all right, done. Moving on. I got it out, I'm now going to make the decision to leave this be and continue on. Try not to let little inconveniences, little things ruin your entire day, Just basic general stuff that is much easier said than done.
Very much easier said than done. I try and journal when I'm in
Yep.
that
Hmm.
space. I try. That's at least one way to get it out. But sometimes resistance is futile, and you are just stuck there, and you're
Yep.
just in a pit, and it takes a little longer than normal, we'll say, for you to get yourself out of it. Are there moments where you recognize this in yourself and you give yourself grace for that?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Um, it's there's been situations. I mean, I've struggled with, depression and anxiety for a long time, and I think that's why I've gotten so deep into these things is because
Mm,
I've always been trying to just, find a way to feel better and like, is this something I'm gonna take to my grave? Like is like kind of like a dooming thought. And I think that, it's just you just kind of have to be like aware, and sometimes I'll feel like my I'm like depressed and but I'm like aware of it, and I'm kind of like, all right, I'm trying to kind of bring myself out of it, but at the same time I'm so depressed that I kind of don't care,
yeah.
and it's hard to find like the effort to do it,
Mhm.
but um I just and sometimes, I just accept it. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm feeling depressed, but I'm not going to be super negative about it. I'm just going to I'm aware that it's just kind of happening. I'm going to let it ride out because I know it's going to get better. And I just, just try to stay positive and continue moving through it and
Right.
shorten the
The
span.
moment that I realized that emotions, when you start to look at them like waves,
Hmm.
somehow it becomes a lot easier to understand the whole process. And also, it becomes even easier to give yourself forgiveness because you start to say, oh, well, this is just how my body is reacting to something. In my mind, I know what's going on. In my mind, I know I don't want this to be the case,
Right.
but let my body catch up for a minute because that's what's happening right now. That's my struggle. But baby,
Hmm.
queen of anxiety and depression right here. I mean, I promise you, I have those episodes too. I think a lot of us do, millions of us
Yep.
do.
Hmm.
And I think some of it has to do with the fact that we just live our life so quickly. Everything is instant anymore,
Yep.
and we barely give ourselves like a second to even comprehend what's happening with ourselves or check in with ourselves and say, am I okay? Like, what is happening? How do I actually feel about this?
Right.
It to me, from the bit of your music that I have heard, it sounds like those are some themes in what you're writing. Is it fair to say that a lot of your writing comes from those types of moments, those types of thoughts?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, back when I was in middle school, high school, I wrote about, the classic little heartbreaks and stuff like
Hmm.
that, the teenage relationships and whatever. And then I got into a very healthy relationship and I'm engaged and we've been together for 7 years and
Okay,
it's just,
yes.
yeah. And so none of that stuff is relatable to me anymore, So I'm very like into, um, like on a deeper level is like what is going on, what's going on in my head and is there something wrong with me, I think a lot of people think about that and but then you think about the environmental factors. I mean, we got, computers in our pockets and on our
Right.
wrists and just constant, constant internet. I mean, I think everybody who posts on the internet is guilty, at least to some degree, of, you put something out there and you want it to do well for
Hmm.
many reasons, and that can be taxing.
Is
Can be
there
very,
any, yeah, it absolutely can be taxing. Is there anything that maybe you wished society reflected on more? I kind of wish we reflected a little bit more on that, on the imbalance. That's so blatantly obvious. I wish we reflected more on that, and I wish we reflected more on how we did manage our time and what we use our time for. How about you?
I agree. I mean, there's been multiple times I, I've put down my phone. I mean, just recently I ditched my phone for like 40 days. I was
Wow.
just like, I need to take a break from it, and it was awesome. I started reading. I felt like more relaxed, more chill because what's happening is you're like playing a slot machine all the time. You're getting digital dopamine
Well,
like over and
right.
over and over. Um, so it's tough, but it's like it's one of those things where it's such a cool thing that we have,
Hmm.
but anything in, excess is can turn into a bad thing pretty fast. So I think that in its nature right now, I think it can actually be addictive.
Hmm.
Um, and people spend too much time on it, and then you kind of don't feel good about how much time you're spending on it. So I'm just trying to find that balance. But I think I mean, there's a whole internet thing about dumb phones, you know? Like, have you heard about those?
No, wait, what's a dumb phone?
So a dumb phone is basically like they have these phone brands that are coming out with phones that have the like modern capabilities like CPU and stuff, so
Hmm.
they process well. And you can have your maps and you can text people and you can have Spotify and all that, but it's purposefully designed so that it is just there's a lot of friction when it comes to like just trying to open up a social media app and scroll, or maybe
Hmm.
some of them don't even have social media on them. So it's like they do that on purpose. Um, so the
Oh,
fact
okay.
that there's a whole market for that is telling you there's a problem, you know?
It really is. So, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, it like totally excludes social media almost? Like you can't put
Um,
it on the phone?
Mostly, there's a lot of
Mostly.
different brands. Some of them will still allow you access to them, but they add a lot of friction, so it's like not at all, easy to just sit there and scroll.
Hmm.
Um, but there's some dumb phones that are just like you just can't have it. You
Yeah.
can't.
I like the title. I'm
I
here
know.
for it already. I'm here for it already just because of the title. But I want to know more about what you were reading during this break too. I suspect you might be into some philosophy. Was that part of what you were reading?
A little bit. I was when I got into like psychology and philosophy, it was more so watching like lectures and stuff on YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
clips. When I was reading, I mean, I think I started with The Hobbit, and
Yeah,
I
yeah. It's a
I
great
read The
book.
Hobbit and I got through there was this one book called Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's just a
Oh,
hilarious book.
okay.
Yeah, it's this guy is like in a
Crawling in
the
dungeons, and his name is Carl.
yeah, the world ends and he enters this like video game like thing. It's an entertaining book. I mean, there's um man, I read a few. I'm just trying to remember at this point what they were. I know it was The Hobbit. I know
Hmm.
I read Project Hail Mary before that movie came out.
Oh, okay.
I've been reading Dark Matter now, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Like mind-bending story there. I do own some um I own some like self-help books and like Atomic Habits and some Jordan
Hmm.
Peterson 12 Steps to Life and stuff like that. A
Mm.
wise man or a man's search for meaning is another like kind of like classic good message book. So some of that stuff, but I was honestly just kind of reading more like entertainment based stuff,
Yeah, you were
like
giving yourself a
adventures.
chance to explore,
Hmm.
is what it sounds like. Would you rather read the book or see the movie first?
I would say the movie, but the only reason is because I struggle to like sit and like read through.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's some days where I'll like pull out a book and I'll read the same sentence like three times and still I'm like not like reading it. I'm thinking about something else subconsciously and I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
I just can't read today.
I
I'll
know.
try again tomorrow.
I'm leaning more toward the movie thing too, just
Yeah.
because here's what happens. If I've read the book first and then I go see the movie, I sit during the entire movie going, "No, that wasn't in there. That
Yeah.
was not how that was portrayed. That's not how that was written. This is wrong." Blah blah. Like, and I'm like, "You need to chill. Just go enjoy the movie first, maybe,
Mhm.
and then read the book and say, 'Huh, this is how it was supposed to be.'" That's
Yeah.
kind of more fun in a way. So I think that's how I'm going to approach it next time.
I agree. Yeah, that exact situation happened to me when I read The Hobbit and then I found
Yeah.
out there was like three Hobbit movies.
Right, right, right.
And I mean, I just felt like they were all dragging. I'm like, this is just not right. This part's wrong. This part's wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's honest. Yeah, that's pretty much the experience I had as well.
And you have, speaking of though, you have been a joy to follow on social media. I mean, we are posting throwback pics with nods to Warped Tour. We are advocating for Nickelback and challenging that hate. On the subject of Nickelback, though, please tell me, what is your take on why they get the sass that they do?
I've actually like tried to figure that out before, and you find some like basic things, like maybe, Chad Kroger might have said something that upset somebody in
Mm,
an interview or something like that, but I honestly think they were just an extremely successful band. And a lot of the times, bands like that, they have people that love their music and people that hate their music. And
yeah.
like it's just, music is kind of a, it's one of those things. You either love it or hate it in certain songs. And I think they're a fantastic band. I actually think the majority of people do like Nickelback. I think it just became a weird internet meme trend, like where people just started hopping on the bandwagon of like, let's just hate them. They're overplayed,
Yeah.
they suck, but that's I love them. I love them.
What when I first started hearing it, I was like, I wonder if this is just because it's almost too simple for them. You know what I mean? Like to
Yeah.
write basic good rock and roll songs that sometimes it's all you need, and that's
Mhm.
what they do. And I think some people sit back and go, it can't be that easy. It can't just that can't be all that it is. I hate you for doing this in such an easy way. Like sometimes I wonder if that's what it is, but to your point, I think the trend is changing now. I think it actually is starting to be cool to say you're a Nickelback fan now. I think more people are warming up to this.
I think when you listen to the music and you're like, why do people hate this? And then you realize that it's just a trend,
Yeah.
You're like, okay, yeah, this is stupid. I like this band. I mean, I can't deny I like the song, I'm like, it's just good music. They have some amazing hits.
They do. They do. What is it about the early 2000s that seems to resonate with you?
I think it's just where my roots are. Growing up, and my mom was always playing Three Doors Down, 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin, Godsmack. My dad had a Crossfade CD in the basement. I mean, we
Yes.
just that's just kind of like what I grew up listening to, and then I branched off and got into so many different things. But I think at the end of the day, I think that my like just my root understanding, like musically, is
Mhm.
somewhere in that realm. Something that I just picked up on that I haven't been able to shake even when I go in to try to like mess around in other genres and stuff. There's always a little bit of that
Yeah. I
essence.
I hear it. I hear it in the music that you're putting out today. And I want to talk about that branching out because you're right. I do hear more than just your heavy elements. I hear electronic, I hear atmospheric moments.
Mhm.
Does that come more so from your influences or the fact that you have played in other bands before?
More of the production style stuff comes from, I produce, I've been producing, some of my previous bands, not all of them, but some of them. And I've been able to get in some studio sessions to write and produce with some cool
Hmm.
people. So I've kind of gained that skill throughout time. This entire project so far, everything was literally in this garage. So I've produced everything and sent it off to just one co-producer, Zach Baker, for the former drummer from Rain City Drive. Um, he like I send him something, I'm like, this is really cool. He's like, yeah, this is really cool. And then he sends it back to me like a couple days later and it's like way cooler. He does a really good job of kind of like putting some final feelings to it. It's an awesome experience. I think that it's just I've dived into I had a little Black Bear phase. I've done some solo music throughout time. So when I kind of got into I go back and forth between the rock and the more like pop or dark pop type of thing. And when I was putting this together, I was like, I'm ready to like find a way to just get out alive is the name, and I'm gonna take whatever I want to write. I'm gonna infuse all the rock stuff that I have and all the pop stuff that I have, and I'm just gonna blend it all together and have fun with it. Just make stuff that I genuinely like enjoy and
Yeah.
like.
I think we're in a space where you're doing something that fits what's happening in the modern world. We're not afraid of genre blending anymore.
Hmm.
We're completely okay with it. We're mixing sounds. We're good with it. Totally. I mean, a lot of it is core today too, but it's core with other elements. It's core with other
Right.
sometimes electronic sounds and just other really totally fun things. How did you settle on the name Get Out Alive? Because that's catchy.
I was going through a little 3 days grace phase, and so I grew up listening to Three Days Grace when I was like in elementary school.
Hmm.
And then there was a long stretch of time, I think it was when their singer Adam left the band.
Mm,
And they had some great songs with the new guy and Matt, and but as time went on, I was listening to a lot more of, like Warped Tour scene style stuff and whatever. And um I kind of just had this thing where I was like, I'm actually so tired of like overly produced generic
yeah.
sounding bands, and I found my way back to, Three Days Grace and the mic'd up, half stack tube amps and stuff, just super raw. And I went through a little phase, and as I was going through it, I was like, man, I mean, Three Days Grace has been such a monumental piece of my development. And they have a song on their album 1X that's called Get Out Alive. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna roll with. And throughout time, it's continued to just gain more meaning to me.
Perfect. It fits all the themes. It fits the
It does.
themes of what you're writing out about for sure. And we do miss Adam. I'm with you on that. We do. Nothing against Adam, but we do miss Adam for sure. Back to social media though, because I've had a lot of fun watching you. I really mean it when I say that. The Uber
Thank you.
driver, is he going to introduce us to some more music? Please tell me he is.
I can definitely bring him back. I can do all sorts of characters. I'll just have to brainstorm a little bit, and we can have a whole army of these guys. Um, I love stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that that was just, I was just trying to be creative. I was like, man, what can I do here? And I think that part of my essence, I can be a little bit of a troll, like a friendly troll, but I'm sarcastic. I like goofing off, and so I was just kind of just trying to be funny, and I'm glad people liked it.
I did. Though the accent for sure. I related to it. I was like, yep, I've met that guy before many, many times. On many, many, many drunken nights back home. I've met that guy before, and he ends up being your best friend at the end of the night. That is how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, so creating characters and just having fun. Is that more about getting through life, or is that just something you always like doing? Coming up with different characters.
It's just fun. Just
Yeah.
just just trying to be entertaining, I've growing up, I mean, me and my brother, there were times we made like little funny videos, and we'd just kind of wing it and be funny. And it's never really taking it too seriously. We're just having fun, and not much, not it's not too deep with that part, We're just having fun.
I feel you. But the production means something to you. I
Mhm.
hear that in the music. So
Oh yeah.
was that on a whim, or did you have an opportunity and just take it? Like an opportunity to produce yourself and just took it?
The producing myself was just, yeah, I mean, I'm just a songwriter. So I mean, I'm always writing songs. And when I got um this whole situation that came up with Artery, and um I was already working with Zach on stuff. I mean, me and him had kind of thrown back some demos. And um If I Leave was actually written before we joined forces with Artery. So it was one of those things where like me and Zach kind of already had dialed in. Like, we love working with each other. I think we're very compatible in that sense that we can be efficient, and we're kind of on the same page
Mhm.
creatively. Um, so when I was given an opportunity through Artery to be like, hey, let's make like a body of music, and I was they're basically like, hey, we love what you're showing us. We love what you're doing. They didn't want to necessarily feel the need to push me any direction. So just based on what I was able to provide, they trusted me to just produce it. And um, me and Zach make a great team. So together we brought it all to life.
Yeah, I can tell that you're excited about that collaboration. What
Mhm.
is the key to, like, when you're looking for a good collaborator? What is it that you're hoping to find? What's the key to a good collaboration?
I think that it requires honesty. I mean, you need to be able to send somebody something, and they can tell you, they'll be like, hey, this is awesome, but they also need to be able to tell you like, hey man, maybe I think on this verse you could probably, like, I know you could do a little better.
Hmm.
You could do a little better on that. And I think with him though, what makes it so effortless is um we both take pride in being like very friendly people. So we have probably like the healthiest friendship in the world. And we're just so like grateful for each other all the time, and we hype each other up. And I mean, he's very like on the ball. If I
Mm,
send him something, I mean, he's on it quick. Where we've got a perfect like flow state, just a well-oiled machine, which is exactly what I was trying to do. And um, yeah, I mean, he's just a very easygoing dude who does exactly what he says he's going to do, and he does a great
yes.
job at it. And believe it or not, that's extremely hard to find. So,
Well, but I hear it every time. Like anytime I ask any iteration of that same question, that's what I hear. They need someone that stands on business. They need somebody that is responsive. Period.
yep.
And that's half the battle. That's sometimes it's like all it takes, and you're like good in their book. So please tell me that you're cooking up some more releases on the way.
There is more on the way than what is out now for sure.
Cool.
Like as far as quantity, there's yeah, there's
Possible EP album, something.
yeah. It's there is an EP. Uh and yeah, and
It's
it's a
coming.
it's coming. Yeah, I don't know how much I can say about that, but it's coming.
Okay. We'll keep
It's
our eyes on the socials. That's going to be
yeah.
where we know anything first. I know that for sure.
Mhm.
So, but as an artist, where do you want to take Get Out Alive in the future? Where do you want to go with this?
I really want to create something that I can just constantly re-ground myself in the fact that like we do music for fun, for therapy, for
Mm,
you know, like just constant reminder as to like why we do music, you know. It's very easy to get caught up in a lot of this stuff, and next thing you know, you could be in a situation that's just doing you more harm than good. And but then you always come back to music. So I'm just thinking to myself when I was putting this together, I was like, I kind of want to just be create like a forever band. Um, just come up with a project title. It's technically a solo project at the end of the day, but I the face is a band, and
mhm.
we are it's just something that, it's gonna live forever. That's the whole goal. It's gonna live forever, and I'm gonna constantly reevaluate and be like, okay, am I having fun with this?
Yeah.
How can I have fun with this? Because I love having music in my life. It's something that I will always do. I just need to not get caught up in some of the expectations and stuff like that. But I mean, I definitely would love to do some tours and travel and get some experience and with just the cool experiences out there and see where it takes me. I'm 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 very open to just the adventure of it all.
I hear that you also want to give back to music what music gave to you. It meant so much, and you want to kind of be another channel to give that to somebody else. I hear a little bit of that too.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I actually I was just talking about that in a separate clip very recently. I was going on about that, but that's right on the money. Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where I would love to just pay it forward. And if I can help somebody, if somebody comes and arrives to my music or a show, if they can walk away feeling better, that would be awesome. I mean, whatever I can say, whatever I can do, um, hopefully if I am just a vessel, hopefully whatever there is that can speak or act through me, and just put it out there.
They're having a better day already just by putting your stuff on. That's the goal. I feel it. It's gonna happen, and I love watching this journey. I'm gonna keep watching this journey. Jazz, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.